This is Matt, Radio KD8TTE. Today we're going to talk about establishing a net that will support multiple counties, a district within the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, ARES. Stick around. The Amateur Radio Emergency Service, ARES, is a program of the American Radio Relay League. The idea is that volunteer radio operators who are qualified to provide that service of emergency communication may do so whenever the public or the agencies that serve the public have a need because their own radio systems, their own means of communication don't work as they should. Many ARES programs throughout the country establish nets on which they are able to operate whenever there is a need. Those nets generally are confined to the boundaries of the county in which they are organized or whatever their territory is. In larger emergencies where there is a need to draw from volunteers outside of the county or where the emergency is a multi-county sort of event, there's a need to allow for messaging to go between those two counties. For us to see how we can make this work, we're going to look at the example of the Central Ohio Traffic Net, a message handling net that operates in the Central Ohio area and covers ARES District 7, a 10-county area in the center of the state. We're going to talk about the national traffic system and the mechanisms for providing message relay. We're going to look at activation and operation of the Central Ohio Traffic Net. We're going to look at the capability that exists at the Central Ohio Traffic Net, and we're going to provide direction for emergency coordinators responsible for their counties to be able to take advantage of this capability. For ECs, emergency coordinators who are not working inside of ARES District 7 in Ohio, you can use this as a model for being able to find or to establish district nets of your own and be able to support your own operations in your own area. The first question that one will ask is what this has to do with emergency communications. Many people think that the idea of a written message is simply antithetical to emergency communications, a tactical message where someone picks up a radio and starts barking orders into it. The reality is that emergencies are not necessarily those situations that call only for tactical traffic. The fact is that an emergency is unplanned. It isn't necessarily rare. For example, a tornado that touches down and creates a great deal of damage isn't necessarily a rare event. It is unplanned, and that is the basis for what an emergency would constitute. Of course, an emergency also needs to be important. If something happens that's unplanned but it has no impact, that's not going to be an emergency. Finally, emergencies can be handled if we are properly prepared. So when we talk about the handling of messages, third-party messages, that is a message on behalf of somebody else, the system that we have in amateur radio for message relay, the national traffic system, it features fidelity and flexibility in our configuration and the ability to move those messages. We can be effective even without the infrastructure that comes from having repeater systems and internet connections and so on. We have the ability to serve the public directly. We also are able to complement the ARES program in their support of agencies. It's a bit of a simplification, but it's a good model to think of, and that is ARES puts operators on the ground where they need to be, tactically coordinating, while NTS, the National Traffic System, and the associated nets provide the circuits, the control, and the outlets for ARES to be able to get that job done when they are working beyond the bounds of their own counties. Turning our attention to the Central Ohio Traffic Net, the question arises, what exactly do we mean by Central Ohio? Well, because we have organized such that we are going to be now in support of ARES District 7, what that means is the 10-county area of central Ohio, that is Marion, Union, Delaware, Knox, Madison, Franklin, Licking, Fayette, Pickaway, and Fairfield counties. This is the territory that we mean to cover with ARES District 7 and consequently the Central Ohio Traffic Net. Now, if you happen to be operating a station in, say, Morrow County, and you are able to reach the net, you are absolutely welcome to join. We're happy to have you. The point that we want to make is that these 10 counties, ARES District 7, are the ones that we need to make sure that we have established liaison with those ARES programs and have the ability to serve them in their need to bring messages into the county and to take messages out of the county to other counties or elsewhere in the state or beyond. Central Ohio Traffic Net is one of just several local or district nets in the state of Ohio. We show generally here where these are located, but again, these boundaries are not firmly fixed. The idea is just to give you an idea of where they are operating generally and what counties may be covered by them. The Northwest Ohio ARES Traffic Net is generally in the Toledo area, the Burning River Traffic Net in north central Ohio in the Cleveland area. Just south of that, the Tri-County Traffic Training Net. Then, of course, there is Central Ohio Traffic Net in District 7 in the center. To the west, we have the Miami Valley Traffic Net centered around Dayton. And then a little further to the south in Cincinnati area, we have the Tri-State Amateur Traffic Net. In addition to these local or district nets, we have several nets that cover the entire state of Ohio. The Ohio Single Sideband Net is operating by voice on 75 meters, generally speaking. We have the Ohio Slow Net, which is a continuous wave CW mode net, sending those messages by Morse code, slow Morse code, good for new operators especially. The Buckeye Net, which operates in CW, 2 times during the day. And then we also have the Buckeye Net, which also operates multi-mode. As we are talking today, that means once a week on Thursday at 7 p.m. The net is called up on 75 meters, generally speaking, by voice, and the traffic is passed through digital means using the NBEMS, Narrowband Emergency Management Software system that is generally known as the FL Digi suite. It is also able to operate in CW when the situation calls for it. And of course, Ohio is not an island, so we are part of a larger world, and that means that Ohio is part of the 8th region, which covers Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. The 8th region is part of the eastern area, which covers regions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. And then the eastern area provides gateways through the central area, the Pacific area, and also internationally, wherever lawful to do so. The system of message relay is one that is slower than making that call direct, but it does work, and it is extremely effective when dealing with a high volume of messages. The most important thing is that where there is a situation that calls for a written message, record traffic, the traffic system is the best way to make sure that that will move. Turning our attention to the activation and operation of Central Ohio Traffic Net, we want to establish what it is that we mean to do. And that is, we are a gateway to the world, and that is important to understand that the county that is supporting an agency or is taking care of an emergency there is not left to their own devices. The county, no matter how many or how few operators they have the ability to draw from the district, which can in turn draw from the section for additional resources. What we have in Central Ohio Traffic Net, ARES District 7, is a net that meets daily. We have the ability to move bulletins, routine traffic. The county nets do call for bulletins, but very often don't really have any to bring to the net. They're not talking to all of their members about whatever bulletin has come out. The news that they get generally is going to be directly to the individual operators via email or however they pick up their news. We do have the ability, however, to have those bulletins come to the district net. A representative from that ARES county can come to the district net, pick up that bulletin, and then when that county meets on its own net, the liaison or the representative can take that bulletin and read it out to the rest of the net members. In that way, we don't need to have every ARES operator on a traffic net. We simply have one or two who can take or release traffic as appropriate. If you need help, please do advise your district emergency coordinator. Be happy to work with you. If you've got news, you can send a bulletin of your own. And of course, there is an advantage that as long as our repeater system that we're using works, we have priority use of it, and that gives us the ability to reach the entirety of ARES District 7 and then some. In addition to our daily operations, COTN can operate as needed. That is, when there is a time to activate, when a county becomes active and it looks like it's going to need to talk with other counties or wants to have the ability to send emergency messages or to advise the other counties of a need, COTN can operate in support of the county. We can operate simplex if we have a need. We need a larger number of stations in that case to establish our relay system, but we can operate simplex, and we have done so. We will be doing more of that as the year 2020 progresses and we move beyond. Our net control is by voice. That is generally on 2 meters using FM, and then we will relay traffic by voice using the voice procedure established in Methods, Practices, and Guidelines published by the American Radio Relay League or through the NBEM software. We have the ability to move messages in any format, so if we have something that is amateur to amateur, that typically means a radiogram. If it's on behalf of a member of the public, that often also is a radiogram. On the other hand, if there is some pre-formatted message that comes, let's say, on an incident command system form 213, the general message form, we can move those as well. Any format message, we can handle it, and you don't need to worry about it. We'll take care of it. The NBEM software is the best way to make sure that that happens easily. Central Ohio Traffic Net has standard operating procedures that are available on the website, www.cotn.us/SOP. There's a live document there and a link for you to be able to download. There is also an NTS manual published in 2015 that has general guidance for how to operate in traffic nets. Having operators experienced on traffic nets is very helpful, not only for the purpose of being able to move traffic, but even within the county. When ARES missions are going on, we are finding that these days it becomes increasingly prevalent for the need to move record traffic. The ICS 213 commonly is a form that needs to be moved around. And so the tactical type, somebody talking to somebody else in a radio and gisting the message, doesn't cut it when you're talking about record traffic. So even within the county, the skill of handling a message for a third party comes into play. Practice on the traffic nets that meet daily is a great way to make sure that the county has all the capabilities necessary. Our standard operating procedure at Central Ohio Traffic Net now includes activation. Previously, we have done this, but it was an ad hoc system. We now have a formalized means. The idea is that when there is a need, you can contact the net manager. I happen to be the net manager at the moment. KD8TTE is my call sign. You also would have a liaison between your county and COTN, so you can count on either your liaison or the net manager to establish that contact, make sure that we understand your need to operate, and then we can get things started. We need 4 things when you let us know when things are spinning up. Number 1, what's the situation? Why are you activating? Is it a flood? Is it because of a fire? Is it because of a tornado? Is it because of freezing? Whatever the situation is, Even though we are in the area, we need to know why you're activating so we can understand the context in which we're operating. We also need to know something about the mission, what it is that you're doing. Are you operating in support of an emergency operations center that needs to talk to other emergency operations centers? If so, are they neighboring counties, or are they talking to the state? Or are we talking to a FEMA region that covers multiple states? In any case, we need to know something about what you're doing. Also, the timing is helpful. When are you operating? Are you going to be having your stations come online right now? Is it going to be sometime tomorrow? Is it next week? How long is it going to last? And of course, the location. What is your area of operation? Is it going to be something that's part of the county? Is it the entire county? Is it multi-county? Also, we want to know what your area of interest. Your operations may be confined, for example, to one quadrant of the county, but it may be that your area of interest is, in fact, the entire county. We understand that when an activation comes up, you're not necessarily going to have all of the details, but whatever you can tell us about those four things will be helpful for us as we go about the process of activating the net. The way that we operate, there are two documents that will govern our activation. The first is an activation warning, and then an activation notice. These documents are exactly the same format, and for those of you who have done work in military or government operations, you have seen this structure before. It's the standard 5-paragraph order. So what we start out with is a situation that talks about whatever is going on that has led to the need for an activation. Whatever information is available, we'll put it in there. The mission, what exactly is going on, that's important for us to know. Now, this isn't going to be verbatim what you're telling us your mission is in an individual county. When you tell us that you've got a mission, you've got something that you're going to be doing, you let us know what that is. We are going to be in this document articulating what COTN's mission is. COTN is going to provide a conduit for communication between shelter residents and the outside world, for example. Moving on to the next paragraph is execution. We'll talk a little bit about the intent. What is it that we mean to do? And then, of course, how we're going to do it. And that'll include some kind of a concept of operations. We're going to be using WindLink. We're going to be using the digital traffic net. We're going to be using voice relay. Whatever it is that we're going to do is spelled out here. We then have the last two paragraphs, which deal with the administration and who is going to be in charge. That takes care of the document, and the document, when it is first released in the form of an activation warning, will spell out whatever it is that we have available. The activation notice will be exactly the same document, although probably revised, probably will include additional information. That activation document, whichever it is, will be published, and the way that it gets published is going to be, first of all, to advise that a possible operation is coming. That's the warning. The notice will actually put the net into action. This says, all right, guys, get up and running, and do so at the time specified here. The activation warnings and notices are put on the website, and they're sent to all of the emergency coordinators in ARES District 7. They are sent to the ARES District 7 District Emergency Coordinator, the Ohio Section Emergency Coordinator, the Ohio Section Traffic Manager, and then if there is a need, we will also send that to other Ohio net managers as well as to Radio Relay International if we have a need to go interstate, for example, or to establish point-to-point circuits that may be medium or long haul. Turning our attention then to the capability that COTN has, we can help to answer the question, what COTN, the District 7 net, can do for you as an emergency coordinator or an operator inside of a county ARES program in Ohio, ARES District 7. What COTN does is we provide the circuits for communication among counties. We don't want to take over your local nets. Your local nets are operating for a purpose. Your tactical nets moving one person to another, telling somebody what time they're going to come online and so on. Those are all things that are taken care of properly and effectively by your nets, you're already practicing those skills. What we're looking to do is to establish circuits so that you can talk with other counties. So these are going to be things that you're generally not doing on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or however often your net meets. We also have the ability to provide control operators, so you don't need to worry about having somebody come on the frequency and manage the net. We'll have somebody there who's managing the net for you. You can have your representative come on the net, release the traffic, and then if necessary, head back to your own net, or come on to our net at the district level, pick up any messages that are incoming for your county, and then join your county net and relay those messages as needed. Those circuits also give us the ability to provide outlets. Those outlets can go to the Ohio section, and that'll give us the ability to relay into any of those other local nets or any other vicinity in the state of Ohio. Elsewhere to the United States through any of the means that we talked about earlier with the region and the ARES, or with any point-to-point nets that we've stood up for the purpose of moving traffic from one place to another with Radio Relay International. And then, of course, we can also operate outlets that will get messages moving internationally wherever lawful under the third-party operating agreements. So how we provide this service is that your county traffic liaison will work with the Central Ohio Traffic Net liaison officer, the operations officer, or the net manager to let us know about your operations, what interest you have in support. We will then create the activation as necessary. We're here all the time, every day for routine messages, same time, same place. And so if you've got something that's going to need to go to a neighboring county or to all of the counties in District 7, you know what time you can find us every day, release the message there, and we'll take care of getting it to the neighboring ECs. Our net is controlled by voice procedure, just like your standard weekly 2-meter FM nets or wherever you're operating. And then we can take the messages either by voice or by NBEMS, and we're happy to do that in whichever form actually makes the most sense. So now is the time for you to take action in your own county ARES program. It's a really simple process, 3 things that you need. Number 1, establish a county traffic, that is a messaging officer, somebody who is responsible for the function of messaging in and out of the county. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to do all of the messaging. In fact, it would be best if that person did not. The messaging officer is there to make sure that those liaison functions are staffed whenever there is a need. So if it's the day-to-day sort of thing, maybe you have one person do it on Monday, somebody else on Tuesday, somebody else on Wednesday, and so on. And in that rotation, those people are coming to the daily Central Ohio traffic net. If there is a special operation, an activation that you're spinning up, your messaging officer is going to make sure that you do have people who are coming to the District 7 net as necessary to release traffic and to take traffic back into the county. Once you have that traffic or messaging officer function established, just like I described, you want to make sure that that person has created a schedule that will establish a representative or a liaison to the district net. You might want to have somebody there every day, and that would be maybe a different person every day. You might want to do it just several times a week. In any case, you want to make sure that you have a regular connection to the district so that any messages that are coming into your county can be received by your county EC and can be relayed to the members of your ARES program, even if email, phone, internet service, whatever, become unreliable. Your county traffic stations, your reps that you normally have, you want to make sure they are training with COTN, learning the voice procedure, the NBEMS procedure, how to originate messages, and how to deliver messages. These are skills that are very important for any ARES program to have. Again, not every operator is going to have every skill. We all work together as a team to establish that we as an organization can provide all of these functions. So whether you have 1, 2, or 14 different people who are engaged in this activity of message relay, those are the ones that you want to focus these skills on. And then when your mission in the county calls for those messaging skills, you'll know the right people to draw from in your own county, and you'll know the right people to establish as the representatives or the liaisons between your county and the district. Big thing is to remember we are here to help you. We are a support function for your operations. So our liaison officer this year is AD8CM Marcel, and he's the point of contact where you can let us know what you're doing, keep us aware of your operations, what needs you have as they're coming up. We also have our operations officer for 2020, W8RIH, Tom. He makes sure that we have all of those functions taken care of, that the schedule is staffed, and we are ready to go. I am KD8TTE, the net manager, making sure that we are providing you a viable service. And then, of course, there is the district emergency coordinator, Mark, KB8YMN. You can find more about our services and what it is that we're doing on our website at COTN.us. There we have news, training tips, reports of our activity, and our standard operating procedure, which includes our SOI, the signal operating instructions, telling you the frequencies, modes, and so on, where you can find us. Everything you need to get started is available to you there on the COTN website. If you have any questions, you are most welcome to contact me. Again, I am KD8TTE in Bexley, Ohio 43209. You can send me a radiogram at that address. You can send me email, KD8TTE@pm.me. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to working with you. KD8TTE out.